So hello and welcome to Affinity Publisher. This is the main thing that you are going to see when you load Affinity Publisher. Well, this is actually the main thing that you're gonna see after you will actually start a new document. We are not gonna learn how to start a new document right now because we are just gonna go through the main interface just to let you know where the things are located and what the things are called, just in case for the future lectures. We're gonna go, of course, how to create the new documents when we actually get to the creation of the documents. So here is Affinity Publisher's main window, and right from the get-go, if you have never used any Affinity software, this might sound a bit confusing, but if you have used the software like InDesign or Photoshop or something like that, you can actually understand a lot of things. But if you're a very beginner of this kind of software, this might feel very confusing. Again, if you have used Affinity, the Photo or Affinity Designer, this is the very familiar design, and you will be feeling like home because there are only few differences between those three softwares. So yeah, it will be pretty simple for you to understand. But if you haven't done anything like that, and if you're a beginner, this might be very confusing, even though it's actually far simpler than you might think. There are actually only around 6 types of elements in this entire interface, and we are going to go through them one by one, not through all of the elements, but the types of elements, just for you to understand what the things are and what they're called and what they do in an outline, not exactly what they do, because we're going to go through every single thing in exactly what they do when we get to the specific lectures and when we get to the creation of the document itself. So when you get to this software, we're going to go through the different elements right here, and we're going to start from the top menu. This is the top menu, which is always located on the top left side corner. Again, the question, what do you mean by it's always located? Isn't everything always located on the same spot? Actually, no. There are some elements that can be moved around. For example, I can take this entire thing and move it wherever I want. It's not going to be a problematic. Or I can take this thing and move it wherever I want. So, but this menu is always on the top. It's always on the top left corner with the file, edit, document. This is the top menu. When I'll be referring to the top menu in the lectures, you will understand that it's right here. This is the top menu. Right beneath the top menu is another immovable element, which is the top bar, basically. This is where the personas are located, the Affinity Publisher persona, Designer persona, and Photo persona. We're going to learn about this in the future, but just to give you a little bit of understanding, if you have the other software like the Designer and the Photo, this means that you can basically move to this software and just use their tools right from the Affinity Publisher, meaning that you don't need to change the software, which is incredibly great thing, and we're going to learn about this in the future, so don't worry about that. There are additional things like text wrapping here, like guides, like snapping, and etc. We are going to utilize these tools one by one when we are going to go through the lectures, so just be mindful of that. This is the top bar that we are going to use in the future. This thing actually is not mobile, as far as I know, at least. So yeah, it's immovable as the top menu is. The next immovable part of the screen is the tools, or is the toolbar, which is located on the left side of the screen. These are all of the tools that they are located right here, with them starting from the move tool and ending with the zoom tool. All of the tools here are the single-use tools, but there are one tool right here, which is a rectangle tool, that have a context menu. If you'll click and hold on it, it will open all the additional tools that they have. And just for you to memorize whether the tools have additional tools inside them or not, you will see on the right corner of the tool this triangle right here. That means that you can press and hold, and you're gonna have additional tools right then and there. But we skipped one thing right on the top bar, or right below the top bar. There is this thing right here. Why did you skip it? Because this is the context menu of the tool, meaning that whatever you have selected, or whatever tool you have selected, this menu will change. It has, when you have selected nothing, it says the no selection. It has document setup, spread setup, and preferences. But whenever you select some of those, like no tool, for example, you see it immediately changed into different things. So this is the context menu of the tool. When you select that a frame text tool, it changes. When you select, for example, the place image tool, it will open the image, or you can load there. When you select the fill tool, it will change as well. So this is the context menu of the tools themselves. Very important. This is how we actually set up the tools and change the settings of the tools. Very important things. Just remember that. Next thing is, well, probably the biggest thing that you see on screen right now, and this is the central workspace. This is the where we actually work with our pages, with our images, with our text. This is the central canvas that we are working on. Remember, this is the biggest part. By the way, you can actually change this. You can actually move it. You can actually select this on the top bar right here and just move it if you have multiple screens or something like that. So just know that you can actually do that. Sorry, I'm gonna close the OBS there. And you can actually change the size of this as well. Like if you move this from the side, you can increase the size of the studios that we're going to talk about this just in a second. And you can just, that you can actually change the size of this canvas as you see fit. Speaking of the studios, everything that you see around that is not below the canvas, and that is not the things that we actually talked about, are studios. And as you can see, everything right here, there's one bar right here. I think it's gonna be, it should be in this way when you load your software. I changed some things, but I try to restore it on default, but it might be a bit different still. Everything you can see, like this studios right here and these 3 studios right here, they're all studios. So if you can see that the studios have the tabs as well. You can change the studio tabs. Every single studio every single workspace have tabs right in there and there, and you can actually rearrange everything or however you want. For example, in my normal setup, what I use is I change my stock studio and I move it and I place it right here. I can even change its size if I want, just to move it to the half. And what this will do is it will give me 2 studios right here and 3 studio spaces right here. I'm sorry, it's studio spaces, not the studios themselves. The studios are like Pages Studio, Asset Studio, Pre-Flight Studio, Stock Studio, Color, Swatches, Stroke, Layout, Character, Paragraph. There is also Textile, there is also Effects, there is also Navigator, there's History, there's Transform. There's so many studios, and studios will be alongside with the tools, will be the main things that we are going to use in this software. It might sound a bit confusing. All those things might sound a bit confusing, but it's actually far simpler than you think. Just open the setup, open the software, and just play with it around just to see different things. If you don't have any studios right here, if you don't have the same number of studios like I do, don't worry, we're gonna learn about this as well, how to add and how to delete the studios, how to remove the studios, not to delete, to remove the studios, how to add them, how to work with them. Just know that I'm going to teach you all. Just remember the most important studio, the probably most important 3 studios, or probably the 4 studios that you are going to work are already visible, which is the color studio right here, which allows you to choose your colors for anything that you do. Your layer studio that will allow you to, well, basically work with layers. Very important thing, probably the most important thing. Pages that will allow you to select different pages, etc. And Navigator if you want, or just to navigate different stuff, just do zoom in, zoom out. You can actually do this with the hotkeys like Control Scroll Wheel or Control Plus, Control Minus. You can work on this as well, or you can just work like with a middle mouse click. I'm gonna teach you about the shortcuts as well, don't worry. So this is all the main interface. Just remember, this is the top menu, top bar, tool context menu, tools, main canvas or main workspace, and studios. There is also a bottom bar right here, but it's not that important. It actually gives you some additional tips that you want. Just to read these tips, because depending on the tools, it will actually change and gives you some understanding how tools are working. Plus, you can switch the pages if you want, just like that, and gives you some the tests and pre-flight tests, etc. We're gonna talk about this, of course, in the future lecture. Just know that it's good, but it's not as important as you might think. Well, this will be for this lecture. Let's go to the next one.